Hi and welcome to Hashtag Car Conference. Feel free to tweet me at Kilkenny Chris. I might be the one in the car, but hopefully you guys are going to give me the drive. Let's see where this goes. So this week's first question is a good one. It's one that's had a lot of debate and controversy on Twitter, and it's around uniform. But the specific question I'm going to ask and try and give my views on is, does uniform policies in school benefit young people in poverty? I'm not going to answer the question. I'm not going to say that this is the right answer or this is the wrong answer, because I could swing either way. There are pros and cons about uniform. What I want to do with this question is I want this to be the big question that gets everyone involved on Twitter in some sort of debate, giving your views on whether you think uniform's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I'm going to give you my views and my personal experience, and I want you to give your views on the hashtag car conference on Twitter. Subscribe to the video as well. But give your views, get as many people involved that you think might have views on it, so we can get a big debate going on Twitter, because I think this is a good question to be asking, and it is all about the questions, it's not all about the answers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my personal experience of uniform. So when I was at primary school and high school, uniform never helped me, because I suppose the reason that people would say that it should have helped me is that I should have been on a level playing field with everybody else, because everybody had uniform, so I wouldn't have looked out of touch because I was poorer than some of the kids at my school. I wouldn't have looked different because everybody had to have uniform. But that's assuming that uniform is free, and that's assuming that all families can afford to buy as much uniform as every other family. The answer to that question is no, they can't. Some families can't afford uniform at all. I never had much uniform, and when I did have uniform, it was hand-me-downs, and most of the time it wasn't clean because Mum never had money to wash it. Sometimes never had the electricity for the washing machine even to be on, or never had washing powder. Sometimes I would be feeling anxious about going to school without my uniform, because I would be the only one without it. So I knew I would be bullied for not having uniform, and that I remember that being a big worry sometimes for me, going to school without my uniform, because I knew I was going to get in trouble from it, from my teachers, and from my deputy heads. I'd be sent to speak to someone. You had to sign a register when you never brought in your uniform, and you had to take a little ticket about the school. Thinking back on it now, it made me feel horrible not having it, because it was a punishment if you never had it. But it wasn't my fault I never had it. I just couldn't afford it. My mum couldn't afford it, and she wasn't in the right place to be able to find the money to clean it and have it clean all the time. So that actually caused extra stress on my school day. I suppose the uniform's there so that everybody's on a level playing field, and it's less time thinking about what you're supposed to be wearing and more time to learn. Well, it had the opposite effect for me at school. It got me bullied because it wasn't clean, or because I never had it. I spent time worrying about even turning up to school if I never had the uniform, if I never looked smart, if I never looked clean like everybody else. And I suppose if we had a dress code system that wasn't uniform, that was just no labels, whatever clothes, at least I would have had clothes, because I had clothes to wear. And everybody would have just been turning up in their whatever they felt comfortable in. And I think that we need to trust our young people more, not to be so judgmental on what other people are wearing. And I think we encourage them to be judgmental when we say everybody should be smart and everybody should wear a shirt and everybody should wear trousers. I think we push that on the young people. We put that on them to pressure their peers on what they're wearing, because we're saying to them, listen, everybody who comes to school needs to be smart and dressed. Well, I don't think so. I think that everybody who comes to school needs to be comfy and needs to be safe. So the next thing I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about is I'm going to ask myself some brief questions, and hopefully I thought that would sort of give me my definitive answer on what I think about uniform. And do I think that uniform helps kids to be safe and happy in school? And there's a few things you could say about this. Yes, I suppose it does help. In some ways, safety is an issue when you're wearing uniform, because it makes your kids in your school easily identifiable to the community, which is a good thing. I think it's good that people should recognise your kids from your school, and you should be proud of your young people, and you should promote your school with some sort of uniform. But I don't think that the current uniform system does that properly. I think that it concentrates too much on young people looking like future financial bankers than it does making your young people and your community know that your young people are part of a team and they are there to be proud of their school. I mean, I'd be much more in favour of sending it, and maybe some teachers and head teachers think I'm mad, I'd be in favour of sending kids to school in logoed tracksuits like they do when you see football players going to play for football teams and they all wear their tracksuits proudly because they're proud of their football team. They're comfy when they're going in on their way in to learn. I mean, why? I mean, it sounds mad. I know it would cost money and stuff as well, but how much more would it cost in uniform to send kids to school and let them wear tracksuits and trainers and be comfy while they're there for 6 hours a day learning? The next question, I suppose I was going to ask, are uniforms free? And the question is no, they're definitely not free. And if you're a head teacher in a school and your uniform is £50 for a blazer, you need to think really strongly about what you can do to help families that maybe haven't got £50 for a blazer or £40 for a logoed jumper that they can only buy from one supplier, because to me it's wrong. You need to, that's definitely something that I would stick my hand up and say you need to change that. You need to look at alternative ways. If that's the way you want to go, if you want your kids to wear a blazer, then fine. If I can't make you change your mind around that, I would say, well, look at alternative ways to fund these blazers. Find a way to help the young people that haven't got the money to get them, have them, because if your school are going to be wearing blazers, then everybody does need to have them. And everybody needs to feel that they've got enough. Because some people will have uniform, but they maybe only have one set or two sets. And I remember this at school, I had one set of uniform and I knew I had to have it for the whole week. And it would be dirty, and I would feel dirty on my way to school, and other kids would notice I was dirty. I suppose what are the pros of uniforms? We've touched on that. It's safe in the community for young people to be identified to a certain school. I suppose it does give some sort of level playing field, but I don't think it does it properly and does it in the right way. And again, I would say that we push it on our young people with our current uniform system. We push it on our young people to be judgmental of the other young people in their school, because we're saying to these young people with the uniforms that we've got just now, everyone needs to be smart and tidy and clean cut. And that is true. It is a good trait to be well presentable, but at a certain age, young people who are coming from poverty and disadvantaged backgrounds, sometimes it's just not possible for that, and they shouldn't feel vilified to have to turn up to school. They shouldn't feel worried or vilified that they're going to, or that they're going to be vilified for not dressing as smart and as clean as everyone else. They should just be able to come to school carefree, knowing that it's a safe place for the day, where they're going to get a free meal and where they're hopefully going to be happy to learn and be engaged in learning. So, what are my views on free school meals? I suppose my first view is that they're brilliant. When I was at school, I started with my personal experience again. When I was at school, it was the only reason I used to turn up was for a free school meal, especially when I was in early primary ages, because sometimes, and the reality is, some kids in your school it's the only meal they're going to have that day. And some people say that the reason that they like listening to me is because I'm frank and truthful. Well, the reality is, your school meals might be the only meals that they'll eat that week. I know that's true because it used to happen. That's why I used to go to school, so that I knew that I ate that week. I used to dread the holidays because I wouldn't get a free school meal. So definitely free school meals are brilliant. What I would change about the free school meal system would be that I would give free school meals to everyone for free. So we're talking about uniforms and being on a level playing field, and that's the argument there for uniforms. Well, I would argue that you have to do the same thing with food and health. I think that free school meals are becoming a lot healthier, they're becoming a lot more wholesome. We can introduce a lot of extra learning into the free school meals as well. But I think that we should put everyone on the level playing field and give everyone a free school meal. It doesn't matter whether their parents are from affluent backgrounds and maybe got more money than some kids, some other kids' parents. All the kids are on a level playing field. They all earn the same, so they should all be entitled to a free school meal. They should all be able to eat together. I think that's a big thing for me was eating at the table. with my family. I never used to do that much at school, and see now my young boy, every night we sit down at the table and we have dinner, and that's a big thing at school as well. Sitting down at the table with your mates, and all having a free school dinner, all having a dinner and discussing what you're eating and talking about what you're eating. Because I used to do it at school, and it's a big thing now. It encourages communication, it encourages healthy living. And it puts all the young people on that same level playing field. Some of you might have heard on the radio today the big discussion saying that 28% of young people have ordered a takeaway to their school for lunch. Those young people most likely aren't getting free school meals, and they're talking about banning takeaways from delivering to schools. I think that you could just give every young person a free school meal, and young people would be far less likely to order from a takeaway, because if they're getting a whole, healthy, good plate of food for free, they're going to take it whether they've got money or not. And I think that it's good for everybody. It's good for kids that are coming from poverty and disadvantagement, and it's good for the kids whose parents can afford to order them a takeaway at lunchtime from their local takeaway. I think that it's good for everyone, so I would say that would be the change I would make. But wholly, I'm happy with free school meals. I reckon that it's brilliant, and that there's young people out there, it's the only meal they'll have, so make sure they take it and make sure they get it. Thanks for watching, thanks for taking part. Subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm new to this. Follow me on Twitter at Kilkenny Chris. Hashtag it at Car Conference. Get involved, get everyone else involved. Let's get this seen by as many people as possible, and let's change as many perceptions as we can.